After overnighting in Gold River, we head down to the docks at its mouth.
Busy morning in the lumber yards. Huge logs off to China. Down she goes. There's the first tiny tip of sun on the peak above the old paper mill. Tucked in behind the Uchuck are these tiny tugs. They're known as sidewinders. In fact, they weigh about 6.5 tons with 175 horsepower diesel. They remind us a bit of dogs helping push stock around a yard. There's a curious seal. We head off down the Mukalat Channel to the first salmon farm by Gore Island. Passing Bly Island, we go up Kendrick Inlet to Nootka Sound Timber, and then up the Tarsis to Esperanza and the next salmon farm. Then on down the channel and out to the open ocean, before ducking back up the Kyuquot Channel to Shamis Bay. Then the last careful leg through the rocks to Walter Island, Kyuquot. Originally built in 1942 in Oregon as an American yard minesweeper, the MV Uchuck 3 has been totally refitted with parts from many other ships, with two 500 horsepower diesels. Her name derives from the Nutkan word for healing waters. Thank you. And we're away. Recommissioned in 1955, Uchuck 3 makes 12 knots, accommodates 100 passengers, and up to 70 tons of freight.
We headed out on the Uchuck, which is usually called the Upchuck, because it heads out in all weathers, that 1943 minesweeper that it is.
Chatting with Spencer, our captain.
But your wife was delighted to see you when you got back.
Yeah, she is, yeah. She's a tough girl. That's tough for anybody, man.
Yeah.
Get after that with your kids.
Yeah, that's a lot of work in that age.
Oh, yeah.
But the thing is, they'll be company for each other though as well.
They should hopefully all be good friends.
Yeah.
They all grow up together, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a big difference.
Yeah.
It was funny because I bought a big place. I was single when I bought my place, and it's a 5-bedroom house, right? And everybody was like, "You're crazy! Why are you buying such a big house?" I'm laughing now.
Originally, like when the mill shut down, weren't most of them mill houses? Is my memory right there? Or?
Yeah.
There's the raven, Kuushin in the Chalnoth. The great trickster out here in the West Coast. Loves to tease dogs, loves to chat with people. They have about 28 noises they make, so they've got a better vocabulary than most people.
Delivering supplies to the salmon farm near Gore Island.
Fish can hear the food coming.
Passing Klupana Inlet with a view down to the spike of Kanuma Peak, and then on to the snow-scattered Stevens Peak. Our crew consists of Captain Spencer, General Hans Adrian and Dave, cook Elaine, and largely unseen engineer Frank. So in fact they outnumber us on the first trip of the season passengers.
This actually was the first trip of the year where they will permit tourists to come on board, because they're tired of cleaning up after the tourists have a big dinner and then head out into the open ocean.
Yes, a raft of sea otters. Hunted to extinction in this area by the fur trade, numbers are still small following reintroduction in 1970. They are a keystone species by reducing sea urchins in kelp forests, and one of the few mammals to use tools as they smash hard shells on their chest with rocks.
Frozen trio coming up Kendrick Inlet to arrive at Nootka Sound Timber.
Start without him if you want.
If he wants to come in for 6, you can.
Okay.
If he wants to come in for 7, that's fine too.
Okay. I'm just gonna text him so he has as much notice, right?
Always, when you're doing that, always wait for the chain to come tight. I don't know, dummy. Pull it out and it pops out. Yeah, you want to back up just a little bit?
On the shallow sandy delta of Kendrick Creek, we can see male and female bufflehead ducks. We motor quietly past the little lighthouse through superbly calm waters and threading the Princessa Channel out towards the imposing bulk of Mount Walker.
Turning out of the Tarsus Inlet through the Tarsus Narrows into the Esperanza Inlet, with Mount Espinosa beckoning blue in the distance.
Motoring carefully into the Tarsus Narrows past this remote little cabin, and round the corner a settlement at the mouth of Lord Creek. Faster traffic passes us as we turn into Esperanza Inlet, with Tarsus Peak against the skyline.
The settlement of Esperanza. No roads here.
We do a drop-off at the next salmon farm across from Esperanza, near Steamer Point. The fish get excited by the arrival of our boat. Heading out into open water, luckily a lot kinder than forecast. That big spike is called, strangely, Eliza Dome.
Further north, the sharp rocks of the McQuarn Islets have to be carefully avoided. Though some of the rocks are adorned with cormorants.
We headed up, it was a long day's run up to the very top, running up through Esperanza Inlet, through some small narrows.
Turning into the Kyuquot Channel past the Rugged Point Marine Park. Turning into Shamus Bay. Logging and more logging.
Mill pond effect at Shamus Bay. Gorgeous all day.
We headed up to Kyuquot, which is the home of the Kyuquot people, the big whalers of the 19th century and centuries before that, when they headed out in their seagoing cedar canoes to hunt gray whales and humpbacks.
Here we are on the boat, on the Uchuck, heading up the outside of Vancouver Island, and I'm not quite sure what I'm doing, but striking a pose anyways. I'm trying to take off with my rain jacket, maybe the 11th hour in, and still trying to entertain myself. And then this is the view up Crowther Channel. Looks like a lovely place for kayaking. Maybe that'll be the next trip.
Now what?
Another big skein of geese going by.
Threading the needle into Kyuquot Harbour. The crew were astounded at the tranquility of the water today.
Being the first trip of the season, no shore facilities were yet open, so we dined on board with the crew, Adrian, Spencer, Elaine and Dave. It's pedestrians only on the way to our overnight digs, and then time for a stroll across the island with Donald and Katie Rose.
Exploring a little bay on the back of Walters Island, on the wild side. Brilliant little bays and islands going out to the Pacific. Past these endless great chunks of wood.
Another walk with Suze, as the low tide exposes colourful algae on the rocks, and we look across to the First Nations village of Hoopsitas on the mainland side of Walters Cove.
Finally here, we arrived in Kyuquot just as the sun was setting, and there were two kids there, Solveig, and I don't remember the other boy's name, but they were the only two white kids in the area, and they were quite excited to see me, another white kid who they probably hadn't seen in months.
On the side of Walters Island, this is the inlet, very protected. A little jetty in front of our own lodgings. First Nations village on the other side there. And going out to the sunset, back out again.
Ah, so good.
I don't know.
Hummingbird nesting outside our lodgings.
This is the old slipway and the crank house leading up from it on another mirror calm morning.
Breakfast on board. Thanks, Elaine.
Perfect morning on the North Pacific coast. Who could want more? Massive spruce trees on the spine of Walters Island. Just enormous. He must be a good 2 meters across. Robin on the shoreline. Ship warming up, ready to go. Easing gently out of the bay.
I do like splitting too. I'm sure lucky I got my wood when I did, Spencer. You know what I mean?
cooler.
One of those hats with your ear flaps.
Squeaking out between the gap again.
Because when I'm behind the funnel, it's a nice place to sit, but I find it very loud behind the funnel. In case you snore when I was sharing a room with you.
Looking deep into the rugged North Country.
Safe.
A jagged headland past Union Island, and farewell to Kyuquot. Looking up Zabalos Inlet to Kauk Mountain and others inland.
Luckily, the weather gods and the ravens smiled on us, and we had gorgeous weather. So gorgeous, they even trusted me to take the helm. It was so fine, such fine weather that Spencer, crewman Spencer, was chased away from having chats with us to swab the deck with arc-angle tar, I believe it was, to keep it looking in good 1943 style.
Approaching Newton Cove Fishing Lodge in Espinosa Inlet.
Fancy high-end fishing lodge, getting supplies. Boats more.
Steering back up Esperanza Inlet. At the salmon farm at Steamer Point. Spencer sorts the pallets. Adrian works the winches. While Dave guides goods down into the hold. Back past Esperanza as Spencer keeps on scrubbing.
So are you doing this by sight or by that as well?
By sight right now, yeah. Anywhere between the shores is good.
Well, that's true. Watch the back of that thing.
I am. Being careful.
Yeah.
Call down to the engine room.
Yeah.
If you'd like to have a turn, you're more than welcome.
Oh. No. Thank you.
the wind's pushing us around. We're pretty fine on the bow, so we just cut through most of the weather.
Oh, right.
When it's offshore and it's rough, that's not very pleasant.
So once you're in here, you sort of just chill out and enjoy.
Yeah, pretty much.
Passing the mouth of the Tsowin River with Mount Santiago behind. And looking back down the Tarsus Channel, and then again passing Mount Walker head in cloud. A tug towing an enormously long raft of timber past Tlupana Inlet, looking back up towards the jagged fang of Konuma Peak.
This just got built a year ago. It's 15 meters long and 10 meters wide. Pretty neat.
Costing a few bucks that one.
Oh yes, everything brand new.
Oh. Haven't got a scratch in the paint job yet.
No, it's pretty neat looking.
I want him to scratch our paint.
Yeah, we should complain.
Oh, yeah. It was a lot of money.
I don't know. He's got it.
How are you? Hey, right on, man.
Not bad.
The big fish farmer, big Norwegian fish farmer, Grieg, has got many big operations out on the west coast, very controversially. And here's some of their equipment hard at work, cleaning nets and refueling. There's a big effort to actually close down a bunch of these fish farms due to their impact on the wild salmon. Farmed salmon, they're discovering, are an excellent vector for disease that gets passed on to the wild ones. And the wild ones are having a hard enough time anyway. So they are not enjoying the extra burden of dealing with the kind of bugs that these big operations are bringing into these local areas. However, they're also very good employers in these areas. So ever thus, the battle between ecological concerns and people's livelihoods.
View southeast Coos Peak up Berman River. Drop in demand for newsprint has put the paper mill out of business. Gold River Delta, where sadly we did not see bears, but could admire the apple blossom. On the way home, could that be a beaver dam?
Ship coming through the Seymour Narrows. View from our hotel in Campbell River.
Out to the Cape Mudge Lighthouse.
Out over the straits.
Looking over Discovery Passage as the sun appears over Quadra Island, we also overlook the Seymour Narrows, where on the 5th of April 1958, the world's largest non-nuclear peacetime explosion demolished the Ripple Rocks, displacing 635,000 metric tons of rock. Luckily, it's a lot calmer now.
Huge barges of building materials trickling down the strait. Late season snow on the horizon.
Centred on the impressive mass of Mount Waddington.
Some great artefacts in the outdoor museum.
Steam donkeys, a mobile steam engine, were a versatile source of power in exploiting the forests. Many boats built for Japanese local fishermen were seized and sold in World War II. The live well in the middle of the boat kept the fish alive and fresh, dreaming of the ocean. Dogwood is the state's flower symbol. Heading south, we stopped in at a timber worker and then a farm fair near Comox.
On the ferry back to Vancouver. It's pretty rough and windy weather.
A lonely little lighthouse station on Entrance Island.
Mountains ahead of us as we head in. Vancouver ahoy. North Vancouver. Stanley Park in the main city.
For thousands of years a meeting place, this area was explored by Spaniard, Narvaez and Briton Vancouver in 1792. The first Europeans settled in 1862 and the city grew rapidly after the arrival of the Canadian Pacific Railway in 1887. The metropolitan area currently holds about 2.7 million people.
Bridge that is back into Vancouver, the Lionsgate Bridge, and then into Stanley Park. And on the other side of Stanley Park, we have the gale thumping waves on the beach at English Bay. I believe that's Second Beach. There's very cheap anchorage here, but then, as you can see, some folks end up very close to shore and don't have to take their tender out at all to get to land.
Back through eclectic streets to enjoy supper in Nat's Pizzeria.
The view across West Broadway from Jane's parents' unit and the great bookstore below us.
This is West 3rd, where the Gordons live, coming out in spring colours. Walking down towards English Bay, some of the other locals. And there's the view across the water. And the walkers. Hello, walker.
Oh, me.
We so enjoyed the spring colours.
Families on the beach. Chilly wind, but it is sunny.
Their voices are carrying across the river. Yeah?
That's all racing on English Bay. Going about. And off we go. Out there past the big freighters, as they always are. The competition heats up. Oh, rounding the buoy. No, we're not finishing, we're just mid-race. Bit of a chop going out again.
Oh, they're all different colours too.
Interesting weather vane in Kitsilano. Sun worshipping going on down in Kitsilano Park. Various other activities, practicing his tightrope. Beach volleyball in the background there.
It's quite good how they have some boulders as chairs.
Spring has finally sprung after yesterday's gales. Petals coming down on Oak Street.
We travelled across Vancouver Harbour to the old shipyards, now converted into an entertainment precinct.
And the feels like the I didn't think actually he's got a point.
Ah, letting supper settle.
Having had evening meal at Pier 7 with Jill and Kim. Looking out over the busy Vancouver Harbour. Great big ships coming in. Small boats, big boats. Convention centre. Back to North Van and the New Keys. Waiting for our lift on Broadway West on a beautiful sunny afternoon.
Heading in past the glass towers of commerce, we went too far and ended up amongst the many homeless street people and deserted back alleys, but made it back onto West Cordova Street.
View out to the mountains in Gastown. Steam clock. University Tower in the background.
Looking up Cambie Street to the famous 1910 Dominion building opposite Victory Square.
Being my 60th birthday, we visited some shops. Here is stunning fossil ammonite, bold wood carvings and ceremonial masks. We walked towards the harbour for a birthday lunch in El Porto Basement Ristorante. My new piece of ammonite.
We went across to see the Wilsons at 952 West 21st Avenue. Ah, this is good porch furniture. Catching up with Jean, Faith and Chris before we moved back in. A lovely sketch by Casey of her parents and then of canoes.
It's better than two, which is my normal MO on a weeknight.
And no waste. No waste either, because you get exactly what you need.
Exactly, and they're you can put all the plastic that comes in, you rinse it and put it back in the bag and they recycle it.
Oh, good.
Because we don't have bag recycling in our building, so I was concerned about that, but it seems to be a good thing, and it's a good portion for two people. It's so hard to shop for two people.
Yeah. Oh, that's
so
good.
Yeah, we're excited to
So what are you doing? How many nights a week are you doing that?
We're just doing 3.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, because on Wednesdays we do a sort of a group meal with our church community group, and on Fridays we usually eat out, and Saturdays I have time to cook, so.
Yeah, well, but 3 is good. And then it doesn't.
The Chandler siblings gathering in Oxford, possibly around 1905. And today's gathering, George, Anna, Chris, Jean, Casey, Faith and Robert. With our packing done, we exited through this gracious courtyard and across the street to meet John, Maggie and Linda for lunch.
Later we walked down to the Gordons' house, where we relaxed out the back, before supper and exchange of gifts to thank the Gordons for being superb tour organisers, guides and hosts.
Our last day, we took the bus via the university, the biggest employer in town, down to the Museum of Anthropology.
It's people that say, no, we've always been here. And this is one of their genesis stories, or their origin stories. And this particular one comes from the Haida people. And this is the story of the raven and first man. And the story is one of the origin stories of the men of Haida-White. It is told that there was a massive flood, and all of the islands of Haida-White were covered with water, rain for many days and many nights. And there was nothing to be seen. No trees or mountains, and certainly no people. And the only living thing that was there was raven. And raven was flying over this entire flooded area. Now in First Nations culture, the raven is the black bird that we know. Raven is sometimes the trickster, and raven is sometimes seen as the creator. Well, this particular story, raven's flying over this flooded area, feeling very alone and lonely. And after several days, the water starts to recede, and he looks down and he sees that there's an exposed beach area. So he flies down and walks along this beach, and big waves are still coming in. And one of them brings a large object, sort of lands in front of him. And the raven goes over and jumps on this shiny object and starts pecking at it. And very slowly, it's a clamshell, and it opens very slowly. And out come the first men of Haida-White. Some of them don't look happy to come out.
The coastal Salish occupied this region. They lived in often matriarchal communities of longhouses, with welcoming posts, which all told a story. The tribes were the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh. The last of their culture was wonderfully recorded by Emily Carr early last century. Important occupants had story panels by the door, and inside these sturdy dwellings, family life was enriched by inherited treasures such as this Haida cedar chest, a raven rattle, and everyday wear like these Tlingit waterproof hats woven from spruce roots. This loon headdress represents an ancestor of the Mama Lilikala clan, used in potlatch ceremonies, such as the one illustrated here.
On my family tree, rebellious daughters are known for fighting against the fear and shame of residential schools, known for breaking the promises that they made to their mothers by still passing on the language and the culture, even to daughters who could pass for white. And in spite of this rebellion, colonization still finds ways to ensure that these daughters pass on different shades of shame to their own children, and the foster care and adoption system still finds ways to pass down patterns of forced assimilation to the next generation of rebellious daughters.
Other children are still being taught. As they are introduced to these riches, while I take a break.
This spindle with Thunderbird imagery may have been used to spin fibres for such as this exquisite blanket of mountain goat wool.
Artifacts of the Great Plains, a wool bonnet, peace pipe, weaving, snowshoes, moccasins.
Inuit carvings in hard serpentine and also in bone. After a brain rest, onto other cultures' riches.
Wonderful shields from West Papua. Boar tusks and all sorts of things on them. Weaving. And some chimes here. A contemporary woven crocodile from Papua New Guinea. And battles with said reptile on your canoe. Javanese dolls and puppets.
Hard work in the background helps keep all this history alive.
Back for a nice lunch.
On the way down to release salmon. Great Point, the old air base. Great views back to the city. Lots of cycling.
Spanish Bank Creek was daylighted in 1999 and the pond created in 2004.
Alrighty, so thank you everybody for coming out. It's great to see so many helpers on this beautiful evening. So we brought 20,000 chum salmon from Kanaka. So we left Maple Ridge about 3:30 today. So we bring them, we have 2 trouts in the back, but we only have our chum in on the tank that's on the right hand side there as you're looking. And we just have an empty tank of water on the left, so we have lots of water to load up. These are probably been ponded and being fed for about 3 weeks now, and they're 0.81 grams. So we bring them out and expect that most of them will be into the ocean fairly quick. So probably we may see a few straggling around the next morning, but we try to come in the evening at a high tide. So if some fish want to come out and go to the ocean right away, the tide's high at about 5 o'clock. So that way they have they're closer to darkness, so less opportunity to be eaten by birds and maybe other fish, and they are able to go out on a high tide too. So we've got lots of helpers. You'll notice some blue tape on the trail, so we're asking you to kind of just watch the blue tape and kind of stay inside and not go past it. And that way we're not damaging the trails and not going into the creek and not doing a lot of damage to the creek side and to the plants in the area. So watch where you're going.
A handful of fry in each bucket is taken up the trail to be gently released into the stream.
nice log for them to go under there.
So they're kind of green.
They'll adapt. See, just watch this one here. See the one that's swimming
Yeah.
through there?
Yeah.
You can see he's really white right now.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Like, now, if he's there for long enough, you'll just start to see him get a little bit darker.
You're like, how do they know that they need to camouflage?
Are we facing the other way? It's just photoreceptors. It's just how.
No, you're only allowed one.
No, it's in one at a time.
Back and back they come for more and more buckets of fish.
Hey, Dado.
These are the adult chum salmon who we hope these tiny fry will grow into and return. And this is the old bloke who started this initiative.
They restocked Beaver Creek. They re-habituated Beaver Creek in the park. And then he came here and he did a trial drop. He raised coho in his basement, and he put coho up here to see whether the water was viable. He came back, coho were alive, and they were prospering. We had a problem with sewage coming in from UEL. So that was a problem. So we decided we stayed a week. We did also, we mapped the creek. We did all sorts of stuff. We put yellow fish symbols on the culvert. And all that was going on while Ron was down here being the face of it.
He almost died! Mine almost died. That's funny. Yours died? Mine died, but it was already dead. There was one who was dead and
The new team catching their breath in the creek before heading out to sea.
I got 4 in it, but that's good. No, there are more, 100.
Oh, okay.
But that's not a lot. It's 20,000.
Okay.
Now that those introduced numbers have accumulated, we farewell this wonderful, happy project and meet a little white-crowned sparrow on the way home.
Coming for a visit, right?
Cycling home from Point Grey.
And just like that, we're back in a plane. Sad to leave as others arrive for their adventure in this wonderful country. As we cross the vast Pacific, we are reminded that the first to do so was Charles Kingsford Smith and his 3 crew in their little Fokker F7, the Southern Cross, in 1928. Their perilous journey took 83.5 hours. Our 787 Dreamliner crosses in superb comfort in around 15. However impressive the technology, nature will find a way of being present. Here, starting our descent into Brisbane, as the ice crystals begin to thaw into our subtropics. A bit of the action out on Moreton Bay and the big docks at the mouth of the Brisbane River. And we're back in our old Queenslander, receiving a local welcome from the Rainbow Lorikeets.